Welcome everyone, my name is Rigel and welcome back to another episode of Review and Preview, where I'll be looking at the national finals that happened last week, as well as take a look ahead of us for the national finals that will happen this weekend. So, let's get into it. First, let's talk about the national finals. But before the preview section, I will be talking very briefly about the internal selections. Like I said last episode, we're getting into internal season, and I'm still keeping the what we know so far videos kind of to a weekly thing, monthly thing rather. So I won't really update too much, in terms of like weekly videos. So, I'm first going to talk about the national finals that happened, and then I'm going to give a brief update on the internal selections relevant to this week, that is, and then we'll move on to the national finals this week. Right, so first off, we've got Finland. Now, of course, we had the national final Uuden Musiikin Kilpailu. Like I mentioned last week, the grand favorite was Garia with the song Cha Cha Cha. And well, surprise, surprise, he won. In fact, he, like I wrote here, the Finnish public actually gave Cha 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 467 points. Portion boys, who were second in the televote, only got 124. Like almost every year in UMK, you have one favorite that just absolutely stomps out everyone else. I think Garia does not have the UMK point record. I think that still goes to Blind Channel, but still, they both got huge televote points. Maybe 2022 was a little bit more split, but in general, the Finnish public have very easily made up their mind. So it's a very convincing victory as well, because even the international jury gave the win to Garia, because it was just a very distinctive performance, whether you like the song or not. It's not going to leave you indifferent. I'm going to very quickly describe it here. Basically, he's still wearing that green sleeves thing from the music video. But this time he's accompanied by four cha-cha dancers, basically. One of which, by the way, is actually one of the producers for UMK, which is very interesting. But yeah, those dancers are dressed in pink and often feature very wild facial expressions. And it's very fun, very distinctive, and his live vocals are excellent. Maybe the deep voice part at the beginning, you can't really hear it, but to be fair, it's really hard. If you're not a professional tenor or bass, it's very hard to maintain a loud, deep voice. So, fair enough on that. But other than that, his vocals were really good, really spot on. And in the second half, it gets really crazy because the four dancers kind of kneel down and become almost a human centipede, and in fact, Garia actually rides on the UMK producer dancer. We don't know if he's gonna go to Liverpool. I think I read somewhere that the original intended dancer was sick, so he probably won't go, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, like I also mentioned here, commentaries was provided in Finnish, Swedish, Northern Sami, Inari Sami, Russian, English, Ukrainian, and Finnish Sign Language. Now, the reason I mentioned Finnish Sign Language last is because we have some wonderful footage of the sign language interpreter, basically interpreting the song pretty much real time, and he's dressed super cool, and you should just check it out. I'll put a link in the description. The interpreter's name is Miguel Beltoma, I think. But yeah, really wonderful performance. I'll leave a link in the description. And yeah, also like I mentioned here, Bess opened the show with Ram Bam Bam and what some other new single that I can't remember the name of. The Rasmus also performed, and also Samuel Halber, the host. Um, yeah, so that's the national final. I'll give a quick discussion about the other candidates. Robin or Robin Bakkalen, well, people pretty much did not expect him to win, even though he was pretty popular. Although it was very interesting that he brought a cushion trampoline, which he bounces on a couple of times during the show, and doesn't really falter vocally, which is pretty nice. But at the end of the day, it's not really the best song. So yeah, he did not get that many points at all. And also Benjamin with Hoydamut, another like gay 80s inspired banger. Well, he came last again. I think Isaac Sene also got last year. So yeah, I guess Finland is homophobic. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, they don't appreciate these gay bangers enough, I guess. And then second place after Garia by quite a distance was actually Portion Boys. And yeah, that's how you pronounce it, not Portion Boys. It's Portion Boys. They came second. I think partly because Portion Boys are popular to begin with, but also because they gave a very immersive performance. It may have been, the staging itself might have been a little bit questionable. A lot of it was just country flags on the LED. But the drummer was on a hoverboard. Almost kind of converted into a Segway. And then the hype girl, I cannot remember her name, but she literally calls herself a hype girl. She was running around the arena doing exactly as she advertised herself to do. But yeah, it was a very fun performance. They used the runway, which pretty much none of the other acts actually did. So yeah, they came very high in the televote as well. And also Lysandra was something to lose. There was another dancer, but unfortunately I was watching some other thing at the time, I think, or I was in the shower, I don't know. But yeah, she had another dancer and her vocals were great. It was very sensational, but I guess this year just wasn't her year, in terms of going to Eurovision. Geira was also very good. Geira, I can't remember her surname, Lundström. Geira Lundström was very good, sounded very good, even though she's only, I think, 17. The performance, well, her outfit was actually somewhat different from the music video. She had pigtails, yeah. She had pigtails, and also 4 dancers, as you might expect. I can't think of any other ones. I think I've mentioned all of them, but it was a very good show. In the middle there was this thing where some Swedish person, might have been an influencer or something, I think I read somewhere, some Swedish person came on to say, sometimes Finland is actually starting to do better than Sweden now. Of course, we'll get into Sweden later, but this guy did a segment where Finland is starting to do better than Sweden, and that fans are now starting to rate UMK higher than Melodifestivalen. So yeah, all in all, a very interesting show, and I think I read somewhere that they might be moving to a bigger arena for 2024, which is very nice. Anyway, so yeah, that's the national final. And as for Eurovision, Garia says he will not change anything to English, partly because he himself is somewhat challenged in terms of speaking English. You can watch his little clips of him trying to speak English, and he's almost gotten himself a little catchphrase now. It's crazy, it's party, which he uses to describe the song, of course. And yeah, anyways, the song is very unique, very distinctive, very eye-catching. So yeah, perhaps for that reason, Finland is actually third in the Eurovision 2023 winning odds right now. I think they're at about 12 or 14% of winning. That is a really strong song, and a lot of people speculate that this can actually just win the televote, not just in the semi, but in the grand final, because it is just that much fun. So yeah, Finland is in a very good position this year, and honestly speaking, I do not expect them outside the top 5. So with that said, let's move on to another I guess Nordic country, which is Iceland. Now, Iceland had their national final, Söngvakeppnin, which is the second. They had the second semifinal of Söngvakeppnin last Saturday, and also, one of my personal favorites was Kristin Cecilia, or Cecilia, I think that's how you pronounce it. She didn't qualify, but last episode I said that the qualifiers would probably be 2 out of Kristin Cecilia, Sigga Osk, and Silja Rose or Gjallar. I only got one of those, and that's Sigga Osk. And the other qualifier actually was Langiseli or Skogarnir. I haven't actually heard the name being pronounced, but I just kind of know them as the OK Band because their song is called OK. The second semifinal took place last Saturday, and Sigga Osk and Langiseli or Skogarnir qualified for the final, and this was decided only by televote. So there will be a jury in the final, but we'll get there. So yeah, there was only a televote in the semi. The semi, it was decided by the televoters that Sigga Osk and Langiseli Skogarnir would qualify, and then after that there would be a wild card where basically the most voted of the non-qualifiers would get to be in the final, and that was revealed to be Celebs, who I mentioned previously did not qualify from the first semifinal due to what many thought was a pretty messy performance, but it turns out they were still the most voted non-qualifiers, so they got a wild card for the final. And as I mentioned here, all participants have to sing the Icelandic version of their song in the semifinal, but if they get to the final, then they can sing the English version if they want to. Now, there's one thing that I forgot to, I didn't forget, but there's one thing that I haven't had time to put into this yet, and that is the running order for the final has been released. Now, I'll get there actually, because this is the review section. So yeah, this is the second semifinal. Sigga Osk and Langiseli Skogarnir qualified, while Kristin Cecilia, Silja Rose or Gjallar, and one other guy whose name I can't remember, did not qualify. So with that said, let's move from Iceland to Poland. Now, there's a lot of controversy about this one, but let's get out the basic facts first. The national final is called Tobias Serce Europy wybieramy hit na Eurowizję, and it took place on the 26th. I don't know why I wrote THAS here, but it took place in Warsaw, and it was hosted by these 3 people. There were several interval acts, including Stefania by Kalish Orchestra, Stefania from Greece, and also Fendi singing Matahari. I think she was involved in several other events in Poland as well, which is super weird. I don't know what she has to do with Poland, but, well, there we go. And also, the Polish Junior Eurovision acts, Sarah James and Roxana Węgiel. So, yeah, These were the interval acts, and there were 10 acts that took part. There's only 3 that most people are talking about. The first one is for the meme value, and that's Alena with the song Booty. And many people expected kind of a disaster Bob type, but it was more disaster than Bob because she just did not have much energy in that performance. Let's just say that. So yeah, that's kind of the meme. But the main 2 that people are talking about are Jan with Gladiator and Blanca with the song Solo. Yeah, Gladiator and Solo. These are the 2 songs that people are talking about because, let's get out the facts first. Again, Solo actually had a lot of streams and views, on streaming platforms and on YouTube. And, yeah, she won the jury and apparently came second in the televote. She will probably represent Poland in Eurovision 2023, but there is quite a bit of controversy because many people believe that the national final was openly rigged, and that's not just Eurofans being salty that Gladiator didn't win. There is concrete evidence of this. For example, one of the jury members actually actively works with Blanca. People made all sorts of arguments in Benidorm Fest 2022 when one of the jury members used to work with Chanel years ago. But no, this is much more obvious than that because this is Blanca's actual choreographer who was placed in the jury. They placed Blanca's actual choreographer into the jury, that's just favoritism, isn't it? And furthermore, many times now Blanca has gone on to TVP, which is the main broadcaster. She's gone on to TVP multiple times now to sing solo, way before it was revealed to be one of the national final songs. So there's while Gladiator obviously didn't get much airplay at all on TVP, actually, many people from Poland were even surprised that it actually got onto the short list to begin with. And people in Poland are really angry about this. I'm not joking. This is not just about Eurofans. Like, there are actual people on Blanca's performance video actually like hurling abuse at her. And look, I'm not one to tell people to go and say bad things to artists because they are people, but at the same time, Blanca was completely complicit in the rigging, and it's gone to the point where the major Polish Eurovision sites, Polish Eurovision fan media have tried to contact TVP to try to find out exactly what's going on. So yeah, this is really serious stuff. I don't think it's gonna lead to anything, in terms of changing the representative or whatever. Even Jan himself seems to have given up. He's just said, go and support Blanca, which obviously, people aren't going to do. Oh, by the way, he won the televote, if you haven't caught on yet. But yeah, he won the televote, but he still told people to support Blanca, which is nice of him, but you can see where the Polish people are coming from. In fact, there's a lot of Polish people who are now going on to other Eurovision videos and saying 12 points from Poland because our broadcaster can't do anything. So yeah, it's a huge mess right now. Like I said, I don't think this is actually going to cause any material difference. Blanca is probably still going to be in Eurovision 2023, as is Poland. So yeah, there's a bit of controversy. I haven't written it down here, but I probably will add a few lines after I record this video. But with that said, let's move on to Portugal. Now, the first semifinal of Festival de Canção took place last Saturday, and these were the interval acts that I mentioned earlier. Initially, it was said that there will be 6 qualifiers, 5 from a combination of jury and televote, and then 1 televote wild card, and then one of the acts, Esse Polvo, I think, whatever. Their voting line experienced technical difficulties, so they were just given direct pass to the final. So we had 7 qualifiers from a 10 artists semifinal, and all being well, we will have 13 out of 20 of the artists from Festival de Canção taking place in the final, which is gonna happen next week, I think. The qualifiers, there were 7 of them, and all of the fan favorites qualified, actually. I think Claudia Pascual, Mimi Cat, and You Can Win Charlie Brown, and also Neon Soho, I think, was getting a bit of buzz on Twitter as well. They also qualified, I think. This Portugal, pretty standard stuff, although I have to say, I actually quite liked Claudia Pascual's performance. The camera angles were super nice. The lighting maybe could use a little work, but the camera angles are spot on, and turned an otherwise repetitive song into something that's lively and fun to look at. And also, for some reason, in the green room, she had some chorizo and bread set up, as if they were like at a picnic or something. I don't know. So that's Portugal. With that said, let's move on to San Marino. Now, with San Marino, there's actually a little bit of stuff to talk about before the show, which is that they announced the initiative named Fox Must Go On, which is basically to encourage other broadcasters to not use products which involve animal cruelty. So, that's interesting. But the national final itself took place again on last Saturday, and it was hosted by Senhit and Jonathan Kashanian, who also hosted last year, both of them. So Achille Lauro performed as an interval act, and now I haven't actually watched the national final, but I have been told that Senhit actually went on to sing herself several times, and that the show actually went on far longer than expected. There wasn't any televote or anything, but instead there was a jury, which consisted of these 6 people, and only the top 10 were revealed at the end. And Brunella did not make this top 10, so Eiffel 65 placed 5th. I'm sorry, it just feels surreal to say Eiffel 65 placed 5th in a national final. Anyway, they placed 5th, and some fan favorites were Lideva and Ex Jove, who came 2nd and 3rd. But the winner was actually Peaked Jacks with a song named Like an Animal, which is a kind of rock-type song, although many people are saying it's kind of weak. Regardless, they will be representing San Marino in the second half of the second semifinal. With that said, let's move on to Sweden, and of course, that means Loreen. The heat itself took place again last Saturday, and the competitors were Kiana, Sinja och Hjördis, Smash Into Pieces, Mariette, Emil Henron, Axel Kjellström, and the myth, the legend, Loreen. So, during her performance, however, some stage invader came on. Apparently, that person was protesting wetlands or something like that. They put up a sign saying, like, bring back wetlands or whatever. That's not the point. But the point is, they decided to do it during Loreen's performance, which would have been a good idea if it weren't for Loreen's performance being so dark. So no one saw the sign until the lights were turned back on. So yeah, it was all kind of a pointless endeavor. So yeah, there was a kind of stage invading incident, and actually speaking, after the heat, Lorraine did not really mind it at all. I think she called him her little activist friend or whatever. So yeah. Anyways, historically there have been worries that Lorraine would just kind of flop, because she did in 2017, but this time it's been pretty much the exact opposite of that. So yeah, like I mentioned here, she sailed through the heat, and she was actually the first contestant to have been announced, which means she won the heat. And I'll talk about other successes later. But the other direct finalist was Smash Into Pieces, which is actually kind of surprising because historically, apparently, rock songs don't tend to do that well at Melfest. But Smash Into Pieces brought a rock song, and it went direct till final, which is very nice. And in the semifinal, we will have Kiana, who, by the way, only turned 16 on the day of Heat 4, which is crazy because she sings amazing, she dances very well. So yeah, she is gonna be great. Just you watch. So yeah, Kiana and also Mariette will be in the semifinal. And obviously that means Sinja Gjerdis, Emil Henron, and Axel Kjellström did not qualify. So yeah, and after that, Lorraine, because of Lorraine's performance, Sweden has now become number 1 in the Eurovision 2023 winning odds. And this is the first time Ukraine has been dethroned from the top spot since February last year. So yeah, this is really huge. And you know what else is huge? The fact that this is one of the largest debuts in terms of streams for a Swedish song. On its first day, I think it got around 300k streams from Swedes and 400 something k streams from abroad. And as I'm recording this, I think Tattoo, which is Lorraine's song, I think Tattoo already has like 1.5 million streams, which is crazy. And it's trending the performance video is trending number 1 in Sweden, and is trending in a lot of other places: Norway, Finland, the UK, Ireland, Germany, I think even Greece. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. The hype is through the roof. The Melfest winning odds for Lorraine is at 74%, which is, I think, the highest anyone has ever been on there. So yeah, it is absolutely insane hype for Lorraine. And a lot of people saying that she can just outright win Eurovision 2023. So yeah, this is really huge. And remember, this isn't even the final performance. This is just the heat performance, and it's already garnering so much hype that Sweden is first in the Eurovision 2023 winning odds without the representative having been chosen yet. So yeah, this is absolutely huge. And, I mean, come on, it's not every day a national final performance trends in other countries. Yeah, so obviously, again, like I've mentioned 3 million times by now, this is huge, and everyone is going wild over this, and, I can see why. It's a really, really sensational performance. Her vocals are amazing. The camera angles are really well thought out. So yeah, very, very huge success for Lorraine already, and it's only gonna go up from here. So with that said, before we get to the preview, I want to talk about the internal selections for this week and a little bit for next week as well. So as I'm recording this, it is it's technically the 1st of March already for me anyway. But for people in Europe, it's still the 28th of February, which means if I can upload this soon enough, it will be tomorrow when we find out what the Netherlands' entry for Eurovision 2023 sounds like. Now, today, they posted a trailer for the song, and they revealed the title, which is Burning Daylight, which is very interesting and is different from the rumored name that was spread around earlier, which was Chasing Highs. Of course, it sounds very different, but yeah, a trailer was released today, and tomorrow we're gonna get the song. So yeah, that's the Netherlands. That's Mia Nicolai and Dion Cooper for the Netherlands. Of course, their song was co-written by Duncan Lawrence. And the day after that, that is to say the 2nd of March, we're going to get the song from Cyprus. Or, well, for Cyprus from Sweden. Because it's Andrew Lambrew with the song named Break a Broken Heart. And was co-written with a lot of Swedes. So yeah, there's that. If you're interested, I don't think most people are, but yeah. So that's this week. And next week, we're gonna have confirmed, at least we're gonna have the songs from Israel. Of course, that's Noah Kirel with the song Unicorn. We're gonna have the song from Austria. That's Taya and Selena, and if the rumors are correct, with the song Edgar Allan Poe. And also we're gonna have Switzerland with Remo Ferrer. We don't know what his song is titled, but they posted a trailer with a snippet of the song. It sounded surprisingly epic, so keep an eye out for that and all that. So yeah, these are some of the internal selections that are coming out these few weeks, and I'm sure some others will come as well. And actually, I think maybe I should just mention it now. The UK is probably going to announce their representative either on the 2nd or the 9th. Why do we know that? Because since 2020, they have announced the representative on the morning of a Thursday. And the only 2 Thursdays before the deadline, that is the 15th, are the 2nd and the 9th. So, yeah, we're probably going to get the British representative either on the 2nd or the 9th of March. And it's going to be a woman, pretty much guaranteed. We just don't know which one. Just today, we had the rumors of Birdie, who might be representing the UK. But if you ask me, it's not that likely because she's posting her new song on a Friday instead of a Thursday. So, yeah, there's that. Plus, it's been implied, actually, that the song isn't even out. So it's probably not going to be, one of the songs that Rina Sawayama has posted. So, allegedly, she is still in the running. So we'll see what happens. So with that said, let's move on to the national finals that will happen this week. And I forgot to say this at the start, but basically, again, I apologize for this episode being so late, but basically I was rushing my assignments, and in the end, I'm pretty sure I didn't finish either of them, but I did hand in, I did finish probably like 75%, so I just kind of handed in what I could. So yeah, I've been just very busy with schoolwork, with uni work, over the weekend, which is why I didn't post a video during the weekend. So I finally got some time, so here we are, and in a few days we're gonna have the national finals for Germany, Iceland, Moldova, Portugal, Serbia, and Sweden. So let's start with Germany. We're gonna have Unser Lied for Liverpool. Now, the reason I say a few days and not specifically Saturday is because Unser Lied for Liverpool does not take place on the 4th, which is a Saturday. It takes place on the 3rd, and actually it takes place at 10 p.m. I think, Central European time, which is crazy. I don't know why they do that, because they're not Spain. But yeah, online voting has started, and I think it's still going. And yeah, it's gonna end, basically shortly before the show. And the winner will be decided by 50% international jury and 50% televote, which on its surface sounds good, but the televote is proportional. So this could lead to a lot of people mass voting a certain act that people don't want to see at Eurovision. So we'll see what happens. But the televote, like I write here, is a combination of the online voting with the live televote that will happen during the show. I can put a link in the description for the voting if you want to vote, but I don't know if they count votes from outside Germany. I've voted several times myself now, but the site doesn't really make it clear whether you can vote from outside Germany, but I've done it several times. I haven't gotten geo-blocked or whatever, so go vote if you want to, or don't. Who cares? And the show will be hosted by Barbara Schöneberger, who is the German jury spokesperson and also a longtime host of German national finals. And there are a few favorites: Patty Gurdy, Lord of the Lost, and to a lesser extent, Frida Gold. But our main, opponent would be Icke Hüftgold, who is very popular in Germany, but his song is the worst one. It's not my opinion. It's almost everyone's opinion, really, that it's probably one of, if not the worst songs in this election this year. But he is very popular and probably has a lot of fans who would vote for him regardless. So that's kind of a concern, but we'll have to see what happens. So that's Germany. They're selecting on Friday night at 10 p.m. or 10:20 p.m. I think, Central European time. So that's Germany, and let's move on again to Iceland. They're having their final of Söngvakeppnin this Saturday, and there will be 5 acts in the final, which are Diljá, Celebs, Bragi, the OK Group, and Sigaosk. So those 5 are going to be in the final. And one thing I forgot to write here is that even in a national final as small as this, there's going to be a super final. So basically, the top 2 most voted by the combination of jury and televote will go into, I think, a televote only super final, but it's gonna be a super final nonetheless, which is basically the top 2 of the 5 contestants, and then from there we'll find out who will represent Iceland in Eurovision 2023. With that said, let's move on to Moldova, which has renamed their national final to Etapa Națională. So, it also takes place this Saturday, and I think it starts at 6 p.m. Central European time, or 6:30 p.m. Central European time, which is very nice for us here, especially in Asia, where time is 8 hours ahead. It's nice for us, but it starts at 6:30 p.m. Central European time, and there will be 10 acts in the national final, although people are pretty certain that the winner will just be one of the 3 returnees, Ali on the Moon, Sunshine Project, and Pasha Parfeni. As I mentioned here, from 2013, 2010, and 2017, and 2012. Of course, they've got different songs this time, and the Eurofan favorite, at least on Twitter, is Pasha Parfeni, although apparently locals from Moldova like Sunshine Project. Although there's one thing that I also forgot to write here is that it's not 100% televote. It's actually 50% televote and 50% jury, and it is noted that the jury which took part during the casting phase are not allowed to take part in the jury in the actual national final. So, that's nice. Although it's not international, it's still just a jury from Moldova. It's going to be 10 acts, a uniform 50-50 jury televote. and no super final. So yeah, and also the broadcasters invited confirmed representatives for Eurovision 2023 to perform. Although so far I haven't seen any one say yes yet, so maybe we won't get any. But we'll have to see what happens. So yeah, that's Moldova. Realistically, I think we're looking at either Pasha Parfeni or Central Project. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, we're going back to Portugal with Festival da Canção. They're gonna have their second semifinal this Saturday, and as I write here, barring any technical mishaps, there will be 6 qualifiers, which are of course 5 from a combination of a jury and televote, and 1 more from the televote as a wild card. So some of the favorites, both local and with fans, is Barbara Tinoco, Ivandro, and Edmundo Inácio. And the interval acts will be Carlos Mendes, Nicolas Alves, yes, the one from Junior Eurovision, and Felipe Sambado. So yeah, that's the second semifinal for Portugal. And next we also have the national final for Serbia, which is Pesma za Eurovision. It's kind of interesting because most national finals, take place over several weeks. Silver Camden, for example, takes place over 3 weeks. But Pesma za Eurovision has 2 semifinals, but the whole thing is just 1 week. And specifically, the first semifinal is actually, well, for me at least, as of recording this, just today, on the 1st of March. And then the day after that, we have the second semifinal. Although, if we're looking at favorites, I think a lot of people will be looking at the first semifinal because we're going to have Luke Black, of course, with Samo Mi Se Spava, and also Filip Balos with the song Novi Plan Drugi San. These 2 are kind of fan favorites as well. So if you're interested and you're watching this video before the national final, go check out the first semifinal of Pesma za Eurovision taking place on the 1st of March. And so yeah, the final takes place 2 days after the second semifinal. That is on the 4th. That is on Saturday. The hosts will be Milan Maric and Dragana Košerina, while the green room hosts will be Kristina Radenkovic and Stefan Popovic. And as I mentioned here, some of the favorites are Luke Black, the reboot at Hurricane, because the original 3 girls left and kind of went their separate ways. And also, like I mentioned earlier, Filip Balos and also Zena. Well, there's actually a couple other ones, but yeah, there's a ton of candidates in this, so I didn't mention them all. But with that said, let's move on to our final country that will have another national final on Saturday, and that is Sweden. Of course, they're going to have their semi-final, which most people still know as Andra Chansen, or the second chance round. And this week, for real, it will be taking place in Örnsköldsvik. Yes, I said Örnsköldsvik last week, but turns out it was Malmö, where Loreen was singing. So yeah, it will take the semifinal will take place. It will take place in Örnsköldsvik. That's how you pronounce it. And the running order was revealed pretty much right after the last heat. Teos will open the show, and Kiana will close it. And like I mentioned here, Mariette, Victor Krohn, Tennessee Tears, Elof and Bennu, Melanie Weber, and Nordman will take place. Will take part in the semifinal as well. And right now the odds are saying that Kiana, Teos, and also I believe Nordman and Melanie Weber or Mariette will qualify for the final. So yeah, like I mentioned here, there's going to be 4 of them out of the 8 who will qualify. And there'll be this weird thing where they're actually going to show the voting in real time a little bit. So yeah, that's weird, but well, they introduced it. It is what it is. But there won't be any duels, I think. I think they removed that as well, while Norway was also doing that. So yeah, that's Sweden, that's Melodifestivalen. We're not at the final yet, so that's another week before we can see Loreen sing Tattoo again. in Stockholm. But in the meantime, this Saturday, we will have the semifinal in Örnsköldsvik, as well as a range of other national finals from Serbia, Portugal, Moldova, Iceland, and Germany. So yeah, that's all the national finals that will happen this week. Let me know what you think of them in the comments below. Like this video if you enjoyed my commentary. Subscribe to not miss my next episode, which of course I will talk about the national finals that took place. The national finals that took place this week, and also the ones that will take place next week. And I'll see you next time.